Welcome back, everybody. This is the John Talks podcast. I'm your host, John Cox.
Jessica.
And today we wanted to talk a little bit about our third law, which is get rich right. So at Aquavita, we have 3 laws. The first is no jerks allowed.
Blood money.
Thank you. The second one is blood money. I blanked there for a second. And the third one is get rich right. So we've talked a little bit about each one, but haven't really gone into a deep dive on them. And wanted to talk about the third law because that's something that we're really exploring right now. Is we're to a point in our business, as I talked about in the previous podcast, where we're scaling up. We're figuring out ways to do that. We want to do that in a way that is ethical. And Warren Buffett once said, if I paid someone, he's like, I could pay 10,000 people a day to paint my portrait. And I would technically be increasing consumer spending and consumer activity. But would I really be adding value to society by doing that? The society doesn't need 10,000 portraits of me a day. So it's also about how do we invest our effort, invest our money in a way that's true to our ethics. So wanted to dive into a few points that I've been thinking about as we've developed that process and developed the third law. So number 1, know your values and never compromise them. So I think that I first heard this through Dave Ramsey, but it's something along the lines of a person that knows their values already has 95% of their decisions made in advance. And so it just makes life more efficient and easy, first of all. And also it enhances your reputation as someone who stands for something and then is true to that and follows through with it, rather than being someone that's difficult to figure out or trust because you change quickly in what you believe. So it's really important to know your values and never compromise on them. And to that end, Jim Rohn, one of the things that he said about that is, he's like, whatever you believe, whether you're a Christian or something else, you need to devote a part of your life to studying, practicing, and teaching your faith and your belief. And you need to dedicate time to that. A lot of people, they'll think about dedicating time to their career, dedicating time to their families, dedicating time to fitness, dedicating time to all kinds of things, but their spiritual life, their life where they define their values and define their beliefs, they don't actually spend a whole lot of time studying inside of that. And that's something that I've certainly been guilty of. I'm really trying as I get older to be more intentional about doing that.
Well, it's also like that's the thing that it flows from. If you don't have a base for what you believe, then you're like, well, today I feel this way. Today I feel this way. There's no core, so you can't even figure out what you're going to be doing. So it makes it difficult to build a reputation because there's no foundation. And they talk about ancient scripts. One of them is a good reputation is better than wealth, because you cannot do the get rich right and sacrifice your reputation by cutting corners. Like, that is not going to be a viable strategy, for your soul, or for eventually you will have eroded trust to the point where no one will work with you.
Yeah.
And so we've had a lot of things where in the short term, it was not a fiscally fun thing to have to, make a sacrifice for what we believe was right to do. But we did that because we know the bigger payoff eternally and in this realm is you do the right thing, because your reputation is more important than what you're making this second. And that investment is important, and that focus is important.
Yeah. Next up is know your treasures. So I'm reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad right now, which I've heard about for years, and I've just never gotten around to reading it. And I wish that I'd read it a lot earlier now that I'm reading it. But one of the things that he talks about is, as he's defining what an asset is and things like that, he says, I have a lot of real estate because I like shopping for deals on land. I like shopping for deals on buildings. I like looking at my land and my buildings. I love real estate. And so I put my effort into that. But whatever your love is, and first of all, you need to define what an asset is. So an asset is something that puts money back into your pocket over time. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket at some time. So you need to know what your treasures are. And for me, I love storytelling. And my job is easy for me because I really like learning new ways to tell stories, whether it's video or a website or a podcast or whatever. Graphic design. I love telling stories. That's one of my favorite things to do. So I've developed a set of skills that now help me to generate revenue by doing this, either through doing work for people or creating intellectual properties or whatever. So my family is also one of my big treasures and my faith. And so I need a lifestyle that I need to build that gives me the flexibility to spend more time with my family and to go on adventures with them and hang with my wife and kids. And also, bonus, with the way that we've built this business, our kids have always kind of been a part of it. Like they've been on set, they've seen us recording things.
Yep, set babies.
My son has sat in my lap while I'm looking at designs, and he's run into the middle of meetings and all that kind of stuff. So, we probably could be a lot richer if we had just gone the hard career route, but we would be missing out on spending time with our kids and being present for them at a young stage of their life. So I have invested in building the asset of my treasure, which is my family. And investing in your treasure should generate positive returns. So whether that's the satisfaction of a job well done or monetary returns within your business and your fortune, or good relationships with your wife, your kids, your friends, your parents, whatever that may be.
Can I put a
absolutely.
quick note?
Yeah.
All right. So with the lifestyle and the assets, liabilities.
Just interrupt me if you want to talk.
All right. Well, hang on. Still, there's a thing. No. So one of the things with the lifestyle deal is like, I remember because my dad was he worked for Ford Motor Company. He was traveling all the time, visiting different dealerships and people that were in his territory. And when he started having kids, he made a decision to change careers entirely, because one of the things for him was, I want to be home by 5.
Yeah.
I don't want to be gone for weeks at a time. I want to be able to sit down, have a meal with my family. And it was a major pay cut. It was a major, I didn't get it at the time because I was little, and I was like, hey, Dad's home. We get to have, Frisbee wars and stuff like that. And just like, that was my experience of it. But he was there. He was there every day. And one of the things that we've looked at is how do we travel with our kids? But those investments, like I remember that years and decades later, but he was there and he's gone now. That time I got with him, the time that is, through our lives, that's all you get. And so that investment meant so much to me, and it built the foundation for the rest of our lives. It's like, you are important and you are a priority to me. And that for the family side of things, the other thing with looking at how we build our business is we also work with people that understand that family is important. Because if we have a little more forgiveness for clients that have new babies, we feel you, or we know who you are. Right. Congratulations. Especially one of them has like a ridiculously...
Have a lot of patience for people that have just had a child, because you're a little insane when that's happened.
No, more than a little. Yeah. But, being able to celebrate those pieces of life and being able to help pick up the slack for people because you understand that life that they're in is important. We've even had people in service organizations like with Rotary. We had some older members who had forgotten what that felt like to be in that season where you just don't understand the level of commitment that having a tiny child and keeping them alive takes. And so the ones that can remember and the people that can appreciate and understand that can help you, build connections, build wealth, and build riches, right? And respecting that about other people and giving grace. So it's surrounding yourself with a network of people as you are working on this asset of the wealth building that support your lifestyle choices is important. So, and support the values is important.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so next up is defining a liability. So we talked a little bit about the definition of an asset being something that, for example, this is really good in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He talks about how most people consider their home to be an asset. And he said, actually, your home belongs in the liability column. It doesn't actively earn you income. It's something that takes money, like to replace the roof, to have your HVAC service, to have an electrician put in a new light fixture, to, all of these things. Even the gas for your mower, if you mow your own lawn, that's the characteristic of a liability. It generates expenses, but no income.
Unless you've got a roommate.
Right. Yeah. But they would need, for it to be truly an asset, they would need to rent more than the value of the mortgage, so that it's not only paying for your mortgage or your rent, but it's generating income on top of that. If it's not generating income on top of expenses, it's a liability.
There you go.
So you can reduce the liability, and that's part of this next part. Actually, is I was going to say, you need to minimize putting money or time or effort, even emotional energy, into things that don't put that back into your pocket, don't produce, threefold, fivefold of what your initial effort is over time. So I'm not saying like, put a penny in and you get 3 pennies out immediately. That's stupid. That doesn't exist. But there are things like, for example, just putting money into stocks, bonds, an index fund, etc. If it's left there long enough and it's wisely put into an investment that will appreciate over time, it's going to go down 40% of the time, but 60% of the time it's going to go up, So it's overall putting money back into your pocket.
You're at least beating inflation, hopefully.
Yeah. So in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the things that I found that was really interesting is he talks about the cash flow difference between a rich person, a middle class person, and a poor person. And in that, he says that a rich person peels off part of their income and they invest that into an asset column. And again, he likes real estate. And so he's made a lot of real estate investments over the years, but it could be anything that you understand and that you're passionate about and that there's a market for. So that could include stocks, bonds, intellectual property, real estate, whatever you can think of that will generate money over the long term. In relationships, it would be like a good, solid relationship with your spouse or with your kids. It's going to yield. You don't do that for the returns, but it does yield returns in that you live a full life, a life that is filled with meaning, and hopefully people around you that love you and support you, that you create good memories with. So, the poor will peel money off and keep putting it into that asset column, and their asset column grows larger than their liabilities column over time. The
rich, you mean?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Redo it.
No. The rich peel money off of their income and put it into their asset column. And as the asset column produces income, they peel off some of that income and put it right back into the asset column. And the asset column keeps growing and growing and growing. And eventually you don't need the income from a job anymore because your assets are basically paying for it's replacing the income from your job.
They're kicking off for you to cover your expenses.
Your job becomes to manage all of the assets that you've built up over time, or even, heck, hire somebody to, if you're making enough money, maybe hire somebody to manage those assets for you. But, and also the rich will limit their liabilities. The truly rich, and he gets into that as well. So
that's true. Who looks rich?
He talks about how his wife really wanted a specific, nice, fancy car, and she subscribes to the system that they have, which is if you want a luxury, you have to build up an asset that generates enough income that it covers that luxury. So I think she ended up buying a small apartment complex. And it took 3 or 4 years for that to turn around and start generating enough revenue that it paid for her vehicle, but it did pay for her vehicle. So they don't go out, the truly rich, they don't go out and rack up a ton of liabilities and expenses so that it exceeds their income, because then they're underwater and they're not rich anymore.
It's not Flash.
You can have all the trappings of, you can look rich and be broke. So
balance sheet poor.
That's something that he talks about, the cash flow patterns of the middle class. Is he's basically like, you work really hard to get into the middle class from nothing, right? And then as soon as you get an income increase, what do most people do? They spend as much as they're making. And, they maybe save up some money and they go put a down payment on a house, but now they have to buy furniture for the house, appliances for the house. They add all of these liabilities into the liabilities column. And so now they have the expenses of just paying the electric bill, paying for groceries, paying for your mortgage payment, plus all these liabilities of car payment, appliances, furniture that they bought with credit cards or on a loan or whatever. And it drowns you. So even though you are in the middle class and you may be earning a decent income, you're underwater because your liabilities and expenses exceed your asset column. And then with the poor, generally they will spend as much, if not more, of what they make. The money never goes to work for them. Their asset column is never built. And so they have to continue to work that day job. And quite often, because the expenses are going out the door so quickly, they're not even going out and adding anything to the liabilities column. Typically, it's like no mortgage payment. It's just both sides are empty.
Survival.
And it's hand to mouth type living. Yeah, which is no good. So moral of that story, focus on investing in things that generate revenue for you over the long term and try to limit your liabilities.
Okay, so in terms of assets and liabilities, you mentioned really well, find something that is going to create more income than you are dealing with in the liabilities column. So with relationships, I think you can also evaluate that a little bit the same way, because you're going to have friendships, and our relationship, like over the years, it's been ups and downs. You still put up with me. I appreciate that. But you also
Same.
it's because you're so cute. But you have
thank
these
you.
things that you've got to evaluate of like, okay, is this person a positive influence in my life? You know, is this someone that, you know, we're not talking about, hey, they're having, you know, they're sick all the time, or they have like things in their life that are hard. That's different. You can have an amazing spirit, go through really hard times, and it may be hard, but it's still a privilege to know those people, because we've got some people right now in our family that are going through some tough times, and seeing how strong they are through those times is like, I consider them worth investing in, because like I want to help these people get through this, and they have, you know, a really amazing spirit through that. So it makes me also think I need to complain less. But
Yeah.
you know, there's that kind of thing where you may be looking at your relationships and say, you know, who is a positive influence in my life? Even if they're going through hard times, not circumstances, it's their spirit. You know, who's a positive influence in my life, and who is someone that is constantly negative, constantly either bad-mouthing people, or they just are never looking to move forward or grow. Because you want to surround yourself with people that are investing in themselves as an asset, and they're growing, and
Absolutely.
they're, you know, deepening their relationship with God if they have a spiritual walk, or they are, you know, growing in, you know, the foundations of whatever their faith is and whatever their morals are, and they're becoming more dependable over time and more consistent over time, no matter what happens to them. So you've got kind of these seasons of, you know, investing in, and right now we've got these kids that, my gosh, I love them, but it takes a lot of investment in just their physical needs right now. And that's a relationship that, you know, like I love them, and it's going to, even if nothing else, you know, if you know, we, you know, wake up tomorrow and it's like, hey, we're all in heaven, it was still worth it, because those relationships are something that we've been gifted. And these are, from my mind, assets that God's given us that we get to invest in. And I may not see the payoff. I may not get to see what they do with these lives, but I know it's going to be amazing. And so I would say, as you're looking at your physical assets and your, you know, fiscal responsibility and your wealth, also think about the relationships that, you know, is this where, you know, for me, I check in with God because I'm not smart enough to run my life by myself. And I say, okay, who should I be investing in right now? And where do you want me to use my super limited time? And who are those people, and what are those assets? Like, what should I be doing work-wise? What should I be doing in my family, in my community? Because I don't have enough time to do it all. And you have to look at that as what's going to pay off eternity-wise. What am I going to be really glad that I did 40, 50 years from now? It's a different list.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anyway, so that's a little bit about Get Rich Right. The third
I
law.
was like, we could talk about that. There's a lot of stuff in that. I didn't want to interrupt for too long.
No.
Okay.
Dude, love hearing you talk. Yeah, so in my own life, it has me really thinking about, in this next chapter, building a legacy for my kids and for the people that work with me, work for me. How do I get rich right? Because money is not evil. It's the root of money, or the root of money. the love of money that is the root of all evil.
Mhm.
And money gives us the ability to help other people that are in need, as Jess often reminds me. Anytime I'm like,
that.
oh man, we could buy this really cool camping thing. She's like, and help other people. Anyway, so it helped.
We talk about things we get excited about, and is what I mean. I'm not saying don't buy the camping equipment. Buy the camping. I love the camping equipment, but I also
She
get
hates the
excited about.
camping equipment.
Dude, it's camping equipment. It's good stuff. We had this little cute little baby sleeping bag thing. It was the most cute thing ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, I am excited about both building our family life, and I just want to start on the podcast because you give me crap about this. But yeah, no, building our family life and helping other people.
Podcast.
I know,
Keeping it raw.
But yeah, no, you're right. It's there's things. So yeah, go ahead.
No. I forget where I was going with that. I just had fun watching you, fuss. Yeah. That's the secret to a happy marriage. If you enjoy fussing with each other, that's where it's at, man. That's the gift that keeps on giving.
Right. Talk about investing in relationships. If you do that long enough, then you know what can make people fuss very quickly. But no, you're talking about the love of money is the root of all.
Yeah, no.
Not
so
money.
I mean,
money can do many things. It's powerful.
by being a person that has good values and sticks to those values, you want resources to flow to that type of a person, because that person is going to take care of their family, take care of their community, take care of their church, take care of the world as far as their reach can extend. So there's a scripture in the Bible that says God's arm is not short, which is interesting. It means that he can reach everyone, right? So by getting rich right, it increases the quality of your own life, absolutely. And I'm really excited because we're to a point financially where we can start doing some of the fun stuff but I've restrained myself from like going out and getting a credit card or getting a consumer loan to do, like the cool camping and hunting and traveling stuff. So it allows you to do that, which enriches the quality of your life, gives your kids great memories, all that good stuff, and it allows you to extend your reach and to help other people that have not been as fortunate. So, friends, family, community members, people in the world at large, communities at large. There have been some major disasters recently. So, having extra resources that allow you to do that is a very good thing. So get rich right, people. It's a good thing. You should strive for it. You should achieve it, if especially if you feel like God's pushed you in that direction. If God's telling you to do something different, give up everything and be a missionary, go for it. But what he's told Jess and I to do is to, through our profession and through our lives and through business, to minister to the world and to set good examples and to build something that lasts for our family. So we're going to work our butts off to do it.
Well, I also want to say, like, when you talk about building assets that are going to have returns over time, if you are in that missionary category and you've given things up, you're investing in eternity in terms of what you're doing. So you are building assets that matter. And if you are a business owner, or if you are someone that works a 9-to-5 and you have the resources to help your family out when they're in a tough time, then you are investing in eternity. Those are things that are going to pay off forever. And it's a good thing to try and have the assets to help people in your family, make sure you maintain yourself too. Like, it's easy as a mom sometimes to kind of forget things like, I need haircuts. That needs to happen in the midst of all the craziness. And, you want to be able to do things like, I love cooking. I love baking. I am not to the level of like Great British Baking Show where I can actually make a princess torte, which is John's favorite birthday cake, but I can work hard, and I know some amazing bakers in town. If you're in Tulsa and you somehow missed the Merritt's train, which is everything they make is amazing, and the fort of bakers, the secret enclave of bakers that turn out these amazing, crazy, awesome things that make kids smile and adults happy because they just taste great and they look great.
It's like the Freemasons, but it's the free bakers.
Kinda, yeah. And just, I don't know how they do the magic, but it comes out like gorgeous every time. And
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a princess torta from them
No.
because we've never ordered one from them before. Normally I make it and it takes, 4 or 5 hours of effort to do it. So
Yeah. But if if you're working hard and you have the resources to help your family, that is a good thing. They
Yeah.
even talk about, like, if you're from ancient scripture talks about drink your wine with a happy heart, wear white, enjoy the life that you have, enjoy the work that
wear
you do.
white?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
no.
in trouble.
No, it's like, because in like especially in the ancient days, if you have kids, white. Well, for me, I'm like, why would I wear white? I'd wear it for 5 minutes. It'd be fun, but it's a lot of work. But, wearing white meant that you had the funds to be able to keep it clean, which is brutal in a land before automated washers. I don't know. Anyway, magical. Yeah. But the idea is, like, it's not a bad thing to enjoy your life that God's given you. It's not a bad thing to celebrate with your family, with your friends. And it's not a bad thing to work hard so that you can do that and have enough to give to the poor. We talked about, your responsibility as a business owner, or as, if you want to consider yourself a little solo entrepreneur inside whatever business you work for. We all have that capacity to get rich right, whether you are like a business owner or you are the, you incorporated. You still have the assets to be able to build wealth and to be able to be there for your family and do those things. And the reach thing is real. It's a really hard thing when you get to the point where you realize, wow, it's a staggering amount of need out there. Yeah. And, I can't do it all, but I can do what I've been given, and I can try and invest back in myself enough that I have more energy and resources to build that, so that I can be there for my family and be there for my community and extend your reach. And I don't know if it's Jim Rohn that talks about it. It's like, if you can do this, great. If you can make this amount of money, go for it. Do whatever you can do with the talents and abilities that God's given you, because that's what it's there for. It's not there to be like, well, I'm just going to do what I can to get by. It's like, no, you've got something in you that you can use to go further. Do that. So that's part of the get rich right mentality, is like, use what you've got, use it wisely, and that's time and resources. So pays off.
Yep, it does.
And find fun people to do it with. It's more fun when you're around crazy people doing that with them. So.
Yep. Okay, well, hey, if you have any questions about what we've talked about today or comments, we'd love to hear about you. So feel free to comment down in the comments section. And if you have not liked and subscribed to our channels, we would love for you to do that. It helps us to extend our reach so that this message gets out to as many people as possible. And we are on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc. So we would appreciate that. And we love all of you in our audience, and thank you for helping us to build this.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
See ya.